Hi, I'm Dan Costa. He is Sascha Segan, and this is PCMag Live. We've got a great show for you today. We're going to talk about the top tech news. We're going to talk about one cool thing, and we're going to answer some of your reader questions. Let's start off with the big news of the day. President Obama has just gotten off the air and announced his NSA reform package, or perhaps NSA reform suggestions.
Pathetically cosmetic.
I mean, basically, he's going to ask, and if you're not happy with the NSA tracking all of your phone communications and email communications, he would like you to now trust Verizon to do that same thing.
But it's not even that, okay? The last I checked, the NSA was actually part of the executive branch, right? But yet he is not really reforming or reshaping anything. He's asking Congress to do something to move the bulk telecom data either into the hands of the telecom companies or a private third-party organization, and then the NSA would request it via a court order from
Court orders are a good thing, though. I mean, that's what we've been asking for.
From this still secret court where no one knows what goes on in it, and it could probably just rubber stamp everything, and everything is secret, and there is no visibility, and there's probably still no oversight, and probably still the congressional people involved will just roll over whenever anyone says national security. So there's that cosmetic change. NSA analysts will once again have to request a court order from the secret court that no one can oversee to get Americans' data, which the court will then rubber stamp, and everything will be good and legal and nothing will change. And they will only be allowed to request data for people who are 2 degrees of connection away from suspects and not 3 degrees of connection away from suspects, so that instead of being able to troll through hundreds of millions of innocent people's data, they can only troll through millions of innocent people's data.
I think what Sasha's trying to say is that there's not a lot of change in this proposal. There are some minor things around the edges. There are a lot of details that need to be filled in, but he's definitely not, it's not a significant overhaul of the program. It's a tweaking of the program.
Yeah.
And a lot of the oversight that's been missing is still not accounted for. But he's punting to Congress, and he's saying, Congress, you guys figure this out.
Well, I mean, the thing is, the NSA has always technically had oversight. The problem is that the oversight isn't effective. They have this FISA court. They have the Senate and House Intelligence Committees. The issue is not that the oversight bodies don't exist. It's that the oversight bodies don't do their jobs.
One thing that was interesting, and I think that it was an important note, is that he did point out that the reason, we have these nets, we have these infrastructure to surveil people, but everyone else does too. They just don't have them as good, as sophisticated as we do. That all the foreign powers are doing the same thing, that we have to play this game. I think that's a fair point. But in terms of monitoring conversations, there's still a lot of work to be done. Also in the news today, Google has announced that it is developing a smart contact lens. This I've actually seen a couple of prototypes for this. The thing is, this doesn't give you bionic sight. It doesn't allow you to, it doesn't give you X-ray vision. It actually monitors your glucose levels, which is kind of a fantastic application.
Yeah, there's a $16 billion market out there for technology to help diabetics live longer. And diabetes, as a lot of us know, is spreading because obesity is spreading, because we here in the United States and developed countries, and increasingly in developing countries, eat pretty poorly, a lot of refined carbs and sugars. And so as a result, technology to help diabetics is a big deal. And it's just great to see Google. It's always really cool to see Google reaching out of its comfort zone and doing something really out of left field. Now, of course, conspiracy theorists are going to say, oh my goodness, Google is now going to use this glucose monitoring data in some...
to deliver advertising for diabetic medication.
Exactly, to deliver advertising for your medication or whatever, but this is a real medical technology, so you at least have to hope there's going to be some sort of ethical controls on it.
Yeah, but the idea that the sensor will be able to detect your glucose levels, and then it'll actually be able to monitor you and alert you by shimmering and giving you a visual cue. We could get that. I want to pair that with my Android phone and get notices for my text messages.
And now, of course, where this all comes in with some of Google's other projects is you can see they're starting to work with contact lenses now because the technology isn't here yet, but 10 years down the road, that's what they want to collapse Google Glass into.
Also in the news today, very cool. So we've got scary technology news. We've got cool technology news. Rosetta is going to wake up on Monday. Rosetta is a space probe that was launched by the European Union that is going to track a comet named Churi. It's actually got a more complex name.
Yeah, it has a long Eastern European name.
The nickname is Churi. Is going to hover over that comet. It is going to shoot a lander at that comet, which will then harpoon it.
Yes.
And then collect data and send it back to the planet.
Yeah, now that isn't going to happen on Monday. What's happening on Monday is that Rosetta has been on this 10-year journey out past the orbit of Jupiter. And for the past 3 years, to save power, basically, she's been asleep. So she's waking up now. And the ESA, European Space Agency people, are hoping that she will wake up intact so they can start to send her instructions, which will lead her to rendezvous with this comet in November.
Rosetta, you're calling her a her. I like that.
It has a female name,
sure,
you know.
Course.
To rendezvous with the comet in November. I mean, so much about space is about patience. It's just about having these really long-term plans, and every step has to go properly. And then there's Opportunity, the Mars rover, which was only supposed to run for 3 months, and 10 years later, it's still going.
Yeah, also fantastic. Now that is some significant, great battery life.
Yeah,
great battery life, and a great solar power story.
And just great technology reliability. There was an Opportunity story in the news today as well, where Opportunity was looking at this little piece of Mars, and then the next day, one day there was no rock there, and then the next day, poof, rock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Conspiracy theorists having a blast with that as well.
Yep.
We had some blast with that in the morning meeting as well.
Scientists are saying probably what happened is that Opportunity's vibrations flipped a rock from out of camera angle into camera angle. But of course, geologists are crazy about rocks, and apparently it flipped the rocks so they can see the rock's underside, and they haven't been able to see the underside of Martian rocks, so they're all crazy. They're all crazy about the underside of this rock. Very
cool. Also, we have a reader question today that we want to answer from Inge. Inge, he sent it via email directly.
I think it's probably Inga.
Inga? I think it's Inge.
I think it's Inga.
I think it's Inge.
I'm sorry,
my notes
Inga.
say Inge by email, and he or she is worried that the wireless printer world is divided into Apple-compatible and Android/Windows-compatible groups. Is that the case, or can you use any device with any printer?
Now, the Apple Store definitely wants to make you feel that way. There's a lot of very subtle marketing in the Apple Store to make a lot of the peripherals look like they only work with Apple devices. But it's really not a problem. We spoke to Tony Hoffman, our printer expert, and he said that almost all of the wireless printers he's seen work with Apple computers, Windows computers, mostly Linux computers, and have apps that work with iOS and Android. So if you're buying from a major printer manufacturer, unless it's the special, Apple-flavored, Apple-only printer, I don't think you have to worry.
Right. And if you want to be able to make it work, you can go to the Play Store, search for your printer manufacturer, download their application. The chances are it'll be listed in the, that'll get you up and running. So you actually don't have a problem. Congratulations. Except that we don't know whether you're a man or a woman. Time for one cool thing. We get hundreds and thousands of products into the lab every year to test. Today, we take one thing off the shelf every day and show it to you. Today, that thing is a vacuum cleaner. The Dyson DC59 was launched yesterday. Yes, it works, and that's not even on max power.
Oh, you want max power? You want max power? I got max power.
That doesn't sound like max power.
That wasn't max power.
That's max power. The most sophisticated vacuum, I actually have an earlier version of this. I've got the DC35, which is now selling for about $220. This one is $500.
You guys have to see what was on the floor of my office. Can you see that?
This is Sasha's actual dirt.
Can you see that? Do you know how many tortilla chips I eat in there? Okay.
So Sasha, you've been test driving this. We've got a full review up that's going up on PCMag on Monday, but you've done some vacuuming on it. How impressive is this vacuum?
Well, the great thing about this vacuum is that it is super light, but still very powerful. It runs about 20 minutes on a charge. It's a wireless vacuum. And Dyson is saying that, I haven't done the formal review, that's Will Greenwald, he's doing it. But Dyson is saying that this is as powerful as a standard corded upright vacuum. But it's much lighter and more maneuverable. So you get all the power of a big, heavy, lumpy, hard to carry vacuum, not one of those little $119 Eureka broom things. But it's the weight and maneuverability of a little Eureka broom. Yeah. And that's very exciting. And of course, Dyson is also kind of a cult thing, which is why they charge $500. But I gotta say, I want this vacuum. Yeah. I can't justify $500, but I really want this vacuum.
Yeah. If you can't afford $500, then this is a great vacuum. If you can't afford it, the one I have, also great, but about half the battery life. I think they just about doubled the battery life with this model. But you can read more about it on PCMag.com. That has been PCMag Live for today. Come back to us on Monday. We will have a brand new show for you. Have a great weekend.